everybody. My name is Shane. I'm here with my good friend Daniel. Say hi, Daniel.
Hey, hi Daniel.
This is our maiden voyage, our initial podcast. We want to start a podcast here to help out both men and women in dating, relationships, talking, attracting people, just anything and everything that we can think of. There's so many topics we can talk about. Um, and we have to start somewhere. So here we are.
Yes, and we've recently been discussing like the multiple topics we could cover, and we've decided we could start with the problem that a lot of men have being needy. So neediness in men and why that's happening.
Yes, and this is always going to be a topic. It's always going to be I guess you could say, an issue with dating. It doesn't matter if it's 50 years ago or 50 years from now. Right now, we're in our initial stages. We're thinking about a name for our podcast, but we also wanted to get into some of our backgrounds a little bit, just to tell you a little bit about us, and kind of just let you in a little bit, the listeners out there. So again, my name is Shane. In my late 30s,
Hmm.
and I've always considered myself kind of a late bloomer. You know, I didn't date a lot. Didn't date at all in high school. I was actually kind of socially awkward in high school. Looking back at it now, went to college. Was scared as hell, but just kind of pushed through the initial year or so. Ended up finding a really good roommate, and he opened up a lot of doors for me because I met tons of other people through him and joining some organizations and stuff. And it just changed my life. And I've actually told him many times since, even to this day, I tell him sometimes, like, thank you for
Hmm.
what you did for me, like indirectly. And just really got a lot over my social anxiety and talking to people and talking to girls and all that stuff. Got my first girlfriend, had some other experiences with women in college.
Hmm.
And and then after college, things slowed down a little bit, but still dated, still did some social things and stuff. But then even like in my late 20s, early 30s, started dating again, or dating had a lot more success and just had more substantial relationships. But also
Hmm.
started doing things like meetup groups, meeting new people, making friends, getting out there, trying new things. And so now, basically 10 years after my late 20s, I've come leaps and bounds. And I just want to just share some of those experiences with the listeners out there, the viewers out there, and
Hmm.
I bet a lot of people can relate, especially now after COVID and pandemic.
Hmm.
Socializing is tougher these days, it seems like, and with social media and our smartphones, it can make it more scary. But I want to let people know that you can do it, and you're not going to grow unless you get outside your comfort zone. So
That's right. That's right. And so yeah, one more time. I don't think I've said this before, but just like Shane here, I'm a late bloomer myself. And if I haven't said it before, like I said, my name is Daniel, uh, Daniel Herrera. And yeah, I've struggled my entire life um with insecurity issues. And as a young kid, I was very insecure, had a lot of anxiety. Um, like my classmates would always pick on me, and
mm,
it was just a very difficult childhood. And so I think having these type of problems or difficulties early in your life, not just for me, but for anyone, I think they, in a way, perhaps feel horrible at the time. But I think these are the very things that help me want to improve. And especially, I mean, since we're doing this podcast and we're talking about insecurities in men, most of these insecurities are not helping us to become better with women. And so, uh, if I'm sharing all these things with you, is to encourage you to continue working on these insecurities and look at them as something that is beneficial for your growth. Because if you didn't have all these insecurities, then there wouldn't be anything to work on, right? I'm 37 years old, and my entire life, has been about overcoming these challenges. So where in the past I would look at them as obstacles, right now the more I grow, not just um, physically but also mentally, I start seeing them as stepping stones to becoming a
Mm.
better person. And so, just like Shane said, it's a process, right? And if you're not where you want to be right now, that's okay, because it's a journey, right? And we all need to embrace this journey and keep on growing, right? So I don't know if you have anything to add, Shane.
That is that was very well said. Thanks for sharing about kids picking on you. I think a lot of people can relate to that as well. I've had a few experiences with that too. It's pretty common. Um, I hear it's a lot worse these days. It seems like with cyberbullying and stuff. But
Hmm.
yeah, I think a lot of stuff that we're talking about, there's got to be a lot of people out there, men and women alike, that can relate to that. I heard a saying a long time ago in college that we're like a piece of art. We're never truly done. You keep adding to it, touching it up, working on it. So,
That's awesome. That's awesome.
mm,
Yeah, yeah, and I think that um as men, we want to feel valuable. We want to feel confident,
beautiful. Yes.
and having these insecurities, um, in a way, if you know how to, if you have the right perspective, then you can use them as your um motivators, right? You can use them as motivators for you to grow your confidence and keep improving. And by doing that, you start becoming more attractive to the opposite sex.
Yes.
um, because at the end of the day, if we're talking about insecurities here, these insecurities come from thinking that you're not enough,
Mm,
that you need to be somebody else, that there is a lot of um, what is that word, scarcity in your life,
yes.
right? And so it comes from scarcity. So how do we, as men, overcome scarcity in our lives? Um, do you have um, anything that you could maybe share with us, Shane? Any
Def-
ideas?
Definitely. And again, to go back one step though, um, I'd like we want to make this podcast for everybody, men and
Uh-huh.
women. And so scarcity and neediness, that is something that's not just gender specific or just for men. It can be for women as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we want this podcast to be for everybody. And so what we plan to do is to talk about things from both perspectives, man and woman. Um, and Daniel has some good experience with working with men, and I feel like I have good experience helping out women, but I can help out men as well. So we're going to have a good kind of two-headed monster, if you will, to help out people.
Mm-hmm.
But to answer your question, I mean, some of the obvious things are just you got to have validation from within. You got to really feel good about yourself. And I know that might seem cliche and woo woo, and I don't mean it to be like that, but it is true.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think about it. If you're not happy with yourself, that's why people seek out things like a relationship or validation from people or porn or alcohol or video games or whatever it could be because they're not happy with themselves. So really work
Mm-hmm.
on appreciating yourself and what you have. One thing I've been doing a lot lately is gratitude, just for what you have and just recognizing, even if you write it down or journal it or say it aloud, that's all very helpful.
Yeah.
Another thing is just, hopefully hopefully you have a good support system with family and friends, coworkers, maybe a social group, club, neighbors. You have hobbies and interests that you either are doing or want to get into.
Mm-hmm.
Meetup is a great way to meet people, or
Mm-hmm.
just go volunteer, or place of worship, or there's tons of things. There's really, this sounds a little harsh, but there's really no excuse to not be able to go out and find something or find people. And I know it can be scary. Trust me. I know I've been there, but you've got to push through that and just try. And so keeping busy with hobbies and their interests, that's a great way to get your mind off whatever is bothering you.
Nice, nice, Shane. Yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of adding to what you said, um, yeah, not feeling okay with who you are, uh, is not helping you become more confident and overcome these insecurities. So, um, yeah, finding things that make you feel happy is a good start.
Yeah.
Recognizing the things that you are passionate about, that you're naturally good at, right? Everybody's good at something. So don't try to, um, like look at other people and be like them, because they are doing,
Mm-hmm.
their own thing, and that's fine. But you should be trying to identify the things that you are good at, because in those things, if you really become good at those things that you're naturally already good at, that's how you start developing this confidence. Because once you become good at something, then you can translate that confidence into other areas of your life. So the more self-aware you are, the more confident you're gonna be, and this neediness eventually is gonna go away, right? So the work starts with yourself, right? A lot of us think that we need to find this validation, this attention, we need it from others, right? But rather than doing that, you should start with yourself and trying to, have these self-awareness, self-mastery, if you will, um, so that you can, you know, get started on your becoming more confident and less insecure, and ultimately, uh,
Less needy.
yeah, exactly, less needy. Thank you, Shane.
There's another great saying I like to think about sometimes, and
Mm-hmm.
I've helped out a few friends with this. It's so simple, but it's true. With competence comes
Mm-hmm.
confidence. So
Yes.
usually when you start doing something, you're probably not going to
Mm-hmm.
be the best unless you're a prodigy or something. But once you
Mm-hmm.
start doing it more, you'll get more confident with it. And that'll just happen naturally. And then eventually you won't even think about being incompetent at something because you'll be so good at it. Whether it's dance lessons,
Mm-hmm.
uh, playing an instrument, doesn't it can be anything really. So yeah.
Yes, yes. And so all these, and I think it's beautiful that all these, this attempt, right, uh that we try on realizing what are the things that really make us feel good with ourselves, is already an expression of how loving you are towards yourself. So if you can focus on doing that, I think that's like about the best advice I can give you, um, to start being less needy and becoming more abundant, right? Having this abundant mindset. Because at the end of the day, life is abundant. Everything is
Mm, yeah.
there for the taking, if you're willing to see it, right? And so, yeah, I don't know what else I could say about being less needy and having a more confident demeanor. Um, is there anything that comes to mind for you, Shane?
Yeah, you made me think of something.
Uh-huh.
Um, and some of this, we were forced some of this during the pandemic, especially, when it
Mm-hmm.
was first happening. But we all need to do this still. And I've done this a little bit, kind of, some of it was not by choice, but some of it is by
Uh-huh.
choice. Practice being alone, or be okay with being alone. And what I mean by that is just being by yourself on a Friday night or Saturday night, or not going out and partying, not going on 6,000 dates, um, just okay being by yourself and being your own good company, you know. Now
Yeah,
that
bro. Yeah.
now obviously, I mean, that would depend on someone's introvert or extrovert scale, so
Uh-huh.
someone who's introverted would probably have an easier time with that, and vice versa. Um,
Mhm.
but that's a good way to get in touch with yourself and your thoughts, and start to appreciate yourself, and like yourself more. And you're just get more used to not having to have constant stimulation. And so then when you find that great girl or guy or whatever it might be, they're just a bonus. They're going to just add to your life. They're not going to be your life, you know, and all your entertainment. So
Right, right.
when
Because you
when
got so much abundance, if you will, right? You got your life is so complete that even,
well,
if you don't get the girl, you still have all these amazing things happening around you, all these
that
amazing people, you know?
yeah, well, that, and just like I said, you're content with whatever happens. If he or she doesn't text you back, or it doesn't work out, huh? Okay, that sucks, but you're gonna be okay. You're gonna live. The world's not gonna end. We promise you. So,
Right, right.
like,
And it's having the right mindset too, because I think like Shane and I, for instance, we're talking about these things, but it's taking us some time to come to these conclusions, and it hasn't been easy. The journey hasn't been easy, and the journey is still ongoing. And another thing before I forget that Shane just reminded me is this beautiful quote by Lao Tzu, Chinese philosopher, and it's something like mastering others is a strength, but mastering yourself is true power.
oh wow,
So
true.
s- yeah, so it's all about starting with yourself and taking the time to study yourself, right?
Yeah,
To put the magnifying glass on yourself and start really realizing the things that you can offer to the world
yeah,
and the skills that you can develop and all these amazing um, ideas that you can provide, not just to other people, but again, you can provide it for yourself.
yeah. That is so true. I had a thought and I just lost it, but I wanted to also mention that Daniel and I have known each other for a few years, years now, and this is us not just preaching for the mountaintops. Both of us are on our
Hmm.
own journeys. We're both working on ourselves. Um, Daniel has his business and other videos and whatnot. I run a men's group. We're both reading self-development books, or doing we've done coaching in the past. So him and I are definitely working on ourselves, and it's a constant piece. It's a constant work. And another thing I wanted to mention was, you're gonna have bad days. You're gonna have days where you're not motivated. You're gonna have falls. Go
Hmm.
fall on your knees and stuff. So those are natural. Those are normal. Um,
Yeah, yeah. So it's not easy. It's not easy to
mhm,
be on this journey of self-development.
mhm.
Um, and it's about having these constant reminders why you need to continue going. Um, and uh, in the past, it was really hard for me uh to be doing all the things I do right now by myself. And I was kind of trying to seek out the attention of women in order to feel good about who I was.
Mhm.
Uh, but over the years, I've realized that uh, unless I, find that purpose, and make my life, again, I'm reiterating, but unless I make my life so amazing that I, like have like this, um, or unless I find it amazing, um, myself, then I mean, who else is going to want to be part of it if I don't, see it as something that's worth people's time, right? I don't know if I'm getting the point across, but
Oh yeah.
yeah, so I've stopped seeking, right? And I've um refocused all my energy to being okay with who I am and improving on it, so that eventually I know that everything that I want will just align with what I know I deserve. And if I continue um, going on this journey, this is just a matter of time. So I don't really have to be seeking out anymore.
Mm. Yeah, the stuff we were talking about tonight, just in my men's group, in fact, was basically having no expectations. Um, and it's kind of it's a touchy topic because you can say, well, okay, you got to have goals, right? Yeah, got to have
Hmm.
goals, but just don't. You got to have reasonable goals, and you got to be able to forgive yourself. But if it's, if you go on a job interview and you don't get the job, again, you're not gonna. Well, it's not gonna end. If you're going on dates and you're having not much luck, the moment you put those that expectations on yourself, that's when you don't act like your authentic self, and that's usually what might be causing some of those issues of what you're having. The moment you just let go and be your true self,
Hmm.
people want people want authentic people in their lives.
Yes, yes, and I think
Mm-hmm.
that's sometimes the hardest thing for us to do, to
Yeah.
be vulnerable enough to say who we really are, and um, yeah, like disclose all these maybe secrets that we have, uh, that at the end of the day shouldn't be, because I feel like everybody has them, right? Um,
Sure.
but the more we can share them, the more we can use them as examples for others, the more people can relate to who we are, because at the end of the day, we're all human beings and we all have the same struggles. It's just that some are, open to disclose them, and some other people aren't. And so, uh, yeah, I mean, if we're in a way, the reason why we're creating these podcasts is because we're ready to be vulnerable, and to um hopefully, through our conversations, we can inspire other people to do the same, and kind of embark themselves on this journey of self-development and self-discovery for themselves. Um, so yeah, it's not an easy path, but I think it's necessary if you really want to, um, you know, achieve your full potential.
Yeah, and I think we've been kind of doing this already, but we can kind of circle now back to the topic at hand, kind of bring it full circle here about neediness and all that, especially when it comes to like relationships, and they can apply to like friendships as well. But mostly it'll probably be in a dating situation. Um, so we talked about different strategies that people can do to try to prevent or mitigate or even eliminate neediness.
Hmm.
And this is not just a problem for men; it's a problem for women as well. It's probably more of a problem for men, I feel like, but I could be wrong there. I've known needy women myself, but I know needy men as well. So
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, I
we
think, yeah. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was gonna say that I think it could be 50-50. I mean,
Yeah,
that's just my opinion.
yeah,
Um,
it probably
yeah,
is.
yeah. So, yeah, it could happen to anyone. And again, like the root of it all starts in you, right? Don't try to find the solution elsewhere. Start working on yourself and recognizing the things that make you feel worthless, perhaps. But it doesn't have to stay like that. Remember that you can always change and take control of your life by, doing simple things like Shane recommended, trying to find hobbies that, that you enjoy, maybe finding things that you're naturally good at that you can, develop and, become so good that nobody can deny it, and so that one thing will be the first step for you to start building more skills, and confidence is just gonna be a bonus to that.
Going to be a byproduct. Yeah. Um,
Yes.
and again, Daniel and well, I guess I can't speak for Daniel 100%,
Uh,
but I know him pretty well, and obviously I know myself. Both of us have had our moments where we probably have come off and been needy in the past, whether it's
oh yeah, big time.
with friends or with women. And if you're a woman, you date men, whatever, wherever you date, doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I guess that's the purpose of this whole thing. And like kind of bring it full circle here is there is a way. Both of us have worked on ourselves for years now and come a long way, each of our own journeys, and now supporting each other as well. But now hopefully supporting other people. And if we help one or two people,
That's
that's
enough.
that's great. That's worth it.
Yes. Yes.
And we got to
Yes.
start somewhere. And
Yeah.
so we want to try to delineate what we've learned in our own journeys to you out there, the viewers and the listeners.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
it's easy and it's might not be fun, but it can be done.
It can be done if we're willing to put in the work and the time and the effort. And like in retrospect, I could never see myself being in front of a camera, right, recording my voice and
Yes.
and 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 talking about my insecurities. That was definitely out of the question for me. But
Yeah.
here I am, being um vulnerable and just doing it because I know this is gonna help some people to,
Yes.
and hopefully inspire them to do the same for themselves in their
Yes.
lives. And the more you share, the more people are going to benefit. And that's just, that's that's the point. Just the more you give, the more you will receive, and the more
Mm-hmm.
abundance will come into your life, and the more attractive you will become as a result. And yeah, and women will be all over you,
Well,
because
or
you're, yeah, or
women.
men,
And,
or men,
and
or men.
this will help you with your friendships. It'll
Uh-huh.
strengthen your. It'll make you make more friendships. It'll help you in your career. This is your life. This isn't just like dating. This is everything. So
Yes, yeah, it's a way of life. Um, now
yeah.
for women, and I know Shane has a lot of expertise teaching women. I don't see how they would. Um, uh, I'm sure there is a lot of women out there that can relate to being alpha females in a way, right? Maybe
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
not having a man in their lives right now, and being okay with, you know with themselves being just very independent. So what would you
Yes.
say to those women, Shane? uh is that something you see a lot in, or that you've maybe uh you had experience with?
Well, does that relate to neediness though? I mean,
Right, because once
once they get back
once
to
once yeah, once the man or the woman has reached, a certain level,
uh-huh,
um does that mean that they can just be by themselves and not need somebody else in their lives? So
of course.
if that's the case, then why even talk about relationships in the first place?
Well, yeah, that's true. I mean, I've read articles that there is so many single people out there, and the number of single women it's drastically increased. I'm not saying
Hmm.
that's good or bad, by the way. This is the articles I've read.
Uh-huh.
People are being a lot more, I guess in a way it's kind of good because people are being more okay with being single, and there's no
Hmm.
longer as much stigma with it. Now women
Uh-huh.
have to deal with a lot more stigma than men, because women are like, well, why aren't you in a relationship? Where are my grandkids? And why
Uh-huh.
can't you, man? So they have to deal with that. Men don't have to deal with that as much as women do, especially from like families and society and stuff. But
Hmm.
yeah, women now can have, where I should say, do have great educations and jobs, and
Hmm.
can be they are very independent. Um, but what I was going to say was, I think to, I'm talking to the men here about women, because I don't think a lot of men understand this, and even I don't. Sometimes I forget this. Even women, especially even beautiful women, they can sometimes be very insecure, and that might make them come off needy, or or whatever it might be. And men don't think of it that they just think, oh well, she's gorgeous. Why would she be this or that or lonely? And they're just as lonely as anybody else. And
Hmm.
because there's a lot of lonely men out there, but there's lonely women too. So
Yep.
that's why we were doing this podcast. So
Yeah. At the end of the day, and I think if I'm understanding correctly, uh,
mhm.
I think that ultimately, um, like knowing all these things or really mastering all these things we're talking about here will help you get to a place where you have the choice to decide what it is
Yes,
that you want.
yes,
You can, if you feel that your life is complete being by yourself, then that's fine. But if you also need somebody, to be your partner in crime, if you will, then that's fine as well. So the choice is yours, and that's what mastering yourself and being less needy, helps you with having the choices to decide what it is that you want.
yeah. And if you're gonna want to have a good, healthy relationship, you have to bring your best self to that central circle, the relationship, and then so
Hmm.
do they. They both have to work
Hmm.
on themselves. They come together,
Hmm.
because uh, the person should be they should be icing on a cake or cherry on the top of the sundae. They should be adding to your life, making it better, multiplying it. They're
Hmm.
not going to fill a hole. They're just going to put icing on that cake. That's what it should be. And
Right.
I feel like I'm in a pretty good spot right now for the first time. I don't want to say ever, but in a while,
Hmm.
maybe ever, where I truly feel like I'm getting to that point where I'm in that space of, I would like somebody, but I definitely don't need somebody. I got a good life, a pretty good life, and I just want to enhance it. So
Nice, man.
I
Nice.
mean, 10 years
Nice.
ago, looking back at when I started online dating and stuff, I was terrible. So I'll be admit that. So I've made all those mistakes. I've come a long way. I've gone through the heartache. I've gone through the pitfalls, if you will.
Uh-huh.
I've been through some darkness. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, that's for another episode. We can get to that, but
Hmm.
yeah. So
Yes.
there is a way.
There is a
Yeah.
way.
Uh, you wanna you wanna give some any, maybe we can kind of wrap this up. Any final words or thoughts on anything we've talked about?
Um,
Not to cut you off, but yeah, or not to, if you had other stuff, but
uh, I, yeah, I think we've already covered a lot
yeah,
actually.
yeah,
And I apologize to the listeners if we've been all over the place today, but we're trying to just share with you our stories
Yes.
and just be vulnerable and hopefully like I said, some of these ideas help you find your own way and encourage you
Mhm.
to take this path that is not always easy.
Yes.
Self development, self improvement takes time, so you gotta be patient with yourself, and you gotta be courageous. You gotta be courageous. Uh, but yeah, I think that's about it, Shane. What about you? Any final words?
I just want to encourage people and reiterate that it's a journey. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have a step back here and there, but just know that if there's a will, there's a way. So
Yeah, and if you just become the best version of you there is. It works for either a man or a woman, right?
mhm.
The more you work on yourself, the more you attract the things that belong in your life. So so be a creator, create the abundance that is out there, right? I think most of the times we don't see how much possibility exists around us, but it's there if we are willing to see it and if we change our mindset about it. So in order
Mhm.
not to be needy, you need to be able to create this abundance for yourself. And the paradox is that the abundance is right there, like right in front of you. So be open to see it and be open to go for it.
Wow, that's a great way to end it right there, I think.
Awesome, Shane.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it, guys. Hopefully you took some wisdom out of this, and we'll see you next episode. See you
Make it
around.
happen. Cool. Bye bye.
Bye bye.